So what is going on, guys? NandoPrince93 here with another video, and today Apple finally released, or actually as of yesterday, Apple finally released a new update for iPadOS 13.3.1. It's been about a month since Apple's actually released anything new. As you guys know, literally we were getting updates on a weekly basis from when 13.0 came out up until about 13.3. Every 7 to 10 days we'd get a new update because there were these little bugs, these little faults in the back end, right, that would kind of mess up your experience a little bit. I didn't really notice many of those issues, especially when it came to the Mail app, but then again, a lot of people did, so that's why Apple kept releasing these updates. And then iPadOS 13.3 came out. They added a couple new actual features like communication limits and things like that, and they finally came out with 13.3.1, which is just back-end bug fixes to kind of, again, help the experience flow that much better for the end user. So I'm just going to run through some of the things that Apple said they fixed and touched on, and then we'll kind of just go from there, guys. So 13.3.1, it took up about 240 megabytes of space, so make sure you have at least half a gig before you actually do update, so you guys have enough wiggle room when it finally does kind of consolidate itself and become its own software. So the biggest update, I guess it's kind of like a visual update, but more of a fix to one of the new things that was added for 13.3. It was with communication limits. So now with 13.3, you have that new addition of communication limits, and basically you can put these limits on yourself, or you can put these limits on if you're a parent or a superior and you want to put some sort of limits on communication to your kids or something like that. You now have the option to not only limit when you can speak to somebody, from a time frame. So maybe, hey, you can only receive calls from 9 to 6 because you don't want to be bothered, after 6 o'clock. You want to just enjoy your life. But you can also put communication limits on a per person basis. So again, you only want to hear from your manager at work from 9 to 6. So after 6 o'clock hits, even if your manager calls you or texts you or anything, you will not receive it until the following morning at 9 o'clock. So I thought that was a nice little addition. And again, it's all about customizing the iPad to your needs. And I like that addition. I haven't used it. I don't have kids to use it on, but I could see where it's useful. Like, hey, maybe your kid is staying up until 11, 12, 1 a.m. on a school night texting their friends. Hey, let's cut that out. You need to get some sleep because you got to be up at 6 a.m. the next morning for school. So it's a good addition. But there was a little bug issue where, again, it wasn't a huge issue, but if you went to add a new contact, ideally you're supposed to put in that passcode. Like if you put, let's say you have the communication limit set from 9 to 6, right? It's 7 o'clock at night, you try to add a contact, it would let you. So now, if you do try to add a contact throughout that communication limit window, or outside of that communication limit window, you now have to put that passcode in. So technically, if your kids try to do that, they cannot add a new contact until the following day. So that was a fix. Apparently it was supposed to be a feature that was already included in 13.3, but it wasn't working for some people, so they updated it. Again, I didn't even notice it because I don't use communication limits, but that's the biggest visual difference that you'll notice in iPadOS 13.3.1. And then you have another issue with Mail. Guys, I feel like every single update touches on the Mail app, and that's why I switched to a different Mail client called Spark. If you guys want a review on that one, let me know. I'd be more than happy to. I love the Spark app, but if people are still using the Mail client from Apple, this addresses the load remote image situation. So apparently, in the settings menu, there's a way to toggle off and on the load remote images feature. So basically, what that means is being able to, like it says it in the name, being able to load an image from remotely through the Mail client, right? So if somebody sends you an image, let it load. You can turn it off, and the reason you would turn it off is, like, let's say you're on a limited data plan, right? And you're using data, you're on the road, it's trying to load up this like huge, super high-res photo, sucking up all that juice, not only battery but data, and you want to toggle that setting off. So you wait until you get to a Wi-Fi situation to load that image. So apparently, if you toggle that option off and you went into Mail and opened that mail that has that file or that image, it would still load up. So basically, it wasn't listening to you, and that issue was alleviated. It was touched on. It was fixed supposedly, and hopefully, it helps somebody out. Again, these are issues that they're not glamorous. They're not going to scream in your face like, "Whoa, 13.3.1 came out. Now I'm going to use my iPad every day. Now I'm going to get an iPad," right? These are things that in the back end were fixed by Apple because it wasn't working how it was supposed to be working. Another thing that was fixed was the undo dialog box that jumps up when you shake your phone, or I think that used to be a feature. I think it still kind of is. Apparently, again, in the Mail app, the undo typing or the undo image or whatever the case may be, the undo box that would come up, it would just pop up randomly, right? And maybe you did shake your iPad, it would pop up once, but then you would press cancel and it would pop up again right after it. So it fixes that issue where it basically lets you decide once, like, hey, do I want to undo this or do I not want to undo this? So again, making your life just that much simpler and that much less annoying. It's crazy, these are like 2020 problems, first world problems of things that really are not that bad, things that maybe add a second or two to your life or to your use on the iPad. And it's crazy how people just nitpick, right? These are all issues that I have not noticed personally, but apparently Apple's addressing these on the 13.3.1 update for iPadOS. Another issue, which I did get sometimes actually, was that notifications would not come through via Wi-Fi. So if you have data on your iPad, you won't notice this. But if you run just on Wi-Fi, which is me, because I only have the Wi-Fi model of the iPad Pro, updates, I would be on Wi-Fi and updates wouldn't come through. I would get them on my watch, I would get them on my phone, but I wouldn't get them on the iPad. And then like 5-10 minutes later, I would just get an influx, right? An influx of notifications, it's kind of annoying, right? You want your notifications to come in live. That's why they're called notifications, to notify you when something is happening. So if they're delayed, then that's a no bueno, essentially. So that was fixed, that was touched on, so that's good. And the last thing they did was they introduced English Indian speech to the HomePod, which to me, again, I love that they're including as many people as possible, but to me that doesn't make a difference because I don't even have a HomePod, right? And I barely use Siri. I literally use Google on my iPhone if I want to have a voice assistant. So those are pretty much all the changes that came out with iPadOS 13.3.1. I'm hoping there will be a 13.4 before the new iPad Pro comes out. And comment below what you guys think the new iPad Pro will be like, because there's 3 ways that it can come out. It can either come out in March, in June at WWDC, or they're going to wait all the way until like October and have the iPad Pro be a full 2 years old before they update it from a hardware perspective, right? And again, from a hardware perspective, on the outside, it's going to look exactly the same. They might add new camera sensors because they're going to go full in on the augmented reality and the VR kind of aspect that they've been pushing, which I haven't really adopted. And obviously they're going to change up the internals, give you the A14X Bionic, things like that. That'll just speed up this beast even more. Because in 2020, I would still recommend get an iPad Pro, guys. I'm going to make a video, iPad Pro in 2020, and whether or not it's worth it to get it or not. Comment below what you guys want me to touch on and as to why it is worth it, because I think it's still worth it to this day. But that's pretty much going to do it for this video, guys. I know I went off on a little tangent there, but I appreciate you guys following along. Again, we're at 4K subs and still growing. It would be awesome to get to 5K before February, or before the end of February. It would be awesome. But again, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, comment anything that you guys want to know, whether it's iPad related or not. And until next time, peace.